was 2 pages of text messages between you and Miss Merchant, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, the first page starts off by saying, Miss Merchant, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? You see that?
Yes, I see it, yes.
And your response to that was absolutely, correct?
I'm going to object, ask and answer in cumulative.
All right, so.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a new bombshell court filing that could spell disaster for Miss Fani Willis and Mr. Nathan Hot Dog Wade as we await the judge's decision in regards to whether or not he's going to disqualify Miss Fani Willis from being able to prosecute the RICO case against Trump because of her apparent conflict of interest that she has with Mr. Nathan Wade because of a relationship, a sexual relationship that they had prior to starting the RICO case, in which there is plenty of evidence to suggest that, yes, Mr. Nathan Wade was throwing his hot dog down Miss Fani Willis's hallway before the Trump RICO case started. And this is important because we know for a fact that money exchanged hands in the sense that Nathan Wade received a lucrative case, the Trump RICO case, so hundreds of thousands of dollars, almost $1 million paid for, in which in return, Fani Willis got taken on lavish luxury trips in which Nathan Wade paid for it using the taxpayer money that he received from Miss Fani Willis, putting him on the case. He did so on his business credit card, and there's no proof and evidence that Fani Willis actually paid him back, okay? Because apparently Miss Fani Willis is cash only, right? Cash only Willis, because her daddy said that she's supposed to just pay for everything in cash. So she has no receipts or any evidence to prove that she actually paid Nathan Wade back. So now we have proof that cash was exchanged, that Miss Fani Willis did financially benefit. Apparently she was a whole trick out here, but because she cannot disprove that she didn't pay Nathan Wade back, now that's why the timeline of the relationship matters, okay? Because if the relationship began before they started working on the RICO case, now you get into a situation where it's like, well, they were in a relationship prior to the RICO case. She put this man on the case, somebody that she was in a relationship with. He got paid for a case that he wasn't qualified to be on, and then she got rewarded for it with these lavish trips, okay? So that's a big deal. That's where the conflict occurs, or the appearance of impropriety. And that is why the start of this relationship, or when it started, is important, okay? We have proven evidence to suggest that this relationship did in fact start before they started working on the Trump RICO case. We have witness testimony basically confirming that Miss Fani Willis's former colleague that worked in her office. We have text messages and cell phone data confirming that Mr. Nathan Wade would pull up to Fani Willis's crib and clap them cheeks on a late night booty call, or shall I say Fanny call, and then go home and get a text message at the end of the night asking, hey, did you make it home safe? Right? Clear and obvious relationship. Now, we had another star witness, or a guy that was supposed to be a star witness by the name of Mr. Terrence Bradley, who used to work for Mr. Nathan Wade. And Mr. Terrence Bradley is the guy that actually sent the text messages to the Trump lawyers exposing Miss Fani Willis and confirming that, hey, these two were in a relationship. In fact, I mean, without this guy's testimony, I'm not sure if this would have happened, right? Would we had even had these hearings had it not been for Mr. Terrence Bradley, who throughout a series of text messages spilled the beans on this relationship and suggested that, hey, this relationship had been going on before the Trump RICO case. He signed off on all the documents that the Trump lawyers sent to court with his testimony saying that the relationship was in existence and going on before the Trump RICO case. And then all of a sudden, this guy gets in court. It's time for him to talk, and he catches a case of the Joe Biden in the sense that he all of a sudden can't really remember anything. And he claims that, well, I was just speculating when I said that I knew when the relationship had begun. And that, you know, I really don't know. I don't have any knowledge. I can't recall. Now, when it comes to Joe Biden, his forgetfulness is probably involuntary, right? But when it comes to Mr. Terrence Bradley, there is a lot of reasons to believe that this guy is flat out lying about his inability to recall whether or not Fani Willis and Nathan Wade were in a relationship before the start of this RICO case.
Mr. Bradley, when you communicated with Miss Merchant, did you tell her any lies about Mr. Wade and Miss Willis's relationship?
Did I lie to Miss?
That's a simple question, Mr. Bradley. You're a lawyer. Did you lie to Miss Merchant when you told her facts about Mr. Wade and Miss Willis's relationship?
Not that I recall. I don't recall. I mentioned earlier that I speculated on some things. No.
Mr. Bradley, speculation is kind of a weaselly lawyer word. Let's speak truth here. Mr. Bradley, when you were communicating different details of the relationship between Miss Willis and Mr. Wade to Mrs. Merchant, did you lie to her about any of those details?
Objection. Asked and answered twice.
I don't think he's answered it yet.
I don't recall ever whether any of it was a lie or not.
As a normal course of your relationships with your friends, do you pass on lies about your friends?
Have I passed on a lie about a friend? Is that what you're asking?
Is that something you normally do, Mr. Bradley? Do you tell lies about your friends?
Have I told lies about friends? I could have. I don't know.
Do you tell lies about your friends about a case of national importance?
I could have. I don't know.
Mr. Bradley, I notice you're not looking at me. No further questions, Judge. I think it's clear.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gillum.
Yeah, so anybody that's paying attention knows that Mr. Terrence Bradley is lying, okay? I think that he probably has been working with Mr. Nathan Wade and Fani Willis in order to try to protect them during this hearing, probably in exchange for some kickback, or maybe they have something on him. Maybe he's been threatened. I mean, his lawyer career is basically over, okay? He's been accused of essay and all types of other stuff. So, again, I think that this guy has motivations to go in court and to play dumb, to obstruct justice, right? That's what I think he's really doing, to be quite honest with you. And he's not being truthful. He's not being forthcoming, despite the fact that he was very forthcoming before in the past in regards to the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. Now, all of a sudden, he's playing dumb and pretending like, hey, I don't know anything about it. I haven't talked to Mr. Nathan Wade in years, except after the hearing, we had Megyn Kelly drop a bombshell voicemail basically alleging that Terrence Bradley and Nathan Wade were hanging out weeks prior to this hearing taking place.
And this guy was listening to the testimony, including Terrence Bradley saying he hadn't spoken to Nathan Wade in 2 years. Well, this waiter drops the following voicemail to Ashley Merchant. Listen.
I'm calling. So I just watched the Terrence Bradley hearing, and I noticed on there he said that he hasn't talked to Nathan Wade in 2 years. But I work at a restaurant here on the square, and I waited on Terrence, BC Chopra, and Nathan Wade about 5 weeks ago.
We've reached out to this person, and he has told us after Nathan Wade joined Terrence Bradley and his lawyer, Chopra, who's mentioned there, at the table, that the waiter introduced himself to Nathan because Nathan Wade was the only one he did not know on a first-name basis. Watching the hearing, he was surprised to hear that they, quote, have not spoken in years.
Yeah, so you're saying that you heard that. Now, that is a bit of evidence to suggest that Mr. Terrence Bradley is lying, and he's also working in collusion with Fani Willis and Nathan Wade in order to protect them from being disqualified from this case. Now we have more evidence, a bombshell court filing from a new witness who could testify that Fani Willis warned Terrence Bradley, Nathan Wade's former business partner, to stay quiet about their affair. So I want to read about this because this is a big deal, okay? Because now we have witness testimony, or a witness that could testify that this guy, Terrence Bradley, basically was lying to the court when he said that he can't recall when Fani Willis's and Nathan Wade's relationship began, and also claiming that he had not been in contact with Mr. Nathan Wade, when it seems like there's more evidence to suggest that not only has he been in contact with Nathan Wade, but also Fani Willis. Again, all three of them are working in collusion to try to, I guess, protect each other and to keep Fani Willis on this case. Again, there's a whole lot of corruption going on here, right? So let's read about this. A new witness could testify. Fani Willis warned lover Nathan Wade's former business partner to stay quiet about their affair in explosive new court filing claims. Quote, "They are coming after us. You don't need to talk to them about anything about us." Willis is alleged to have warned Terrence Bradley in a September 2023 phone call. The call was overheard by Cobb County, Georgia prosecutor Cindy Lee Yeager, according to court papers filed Monday by Trump co-defendant David Schaffer. Okay, so again, this is a big deal. This is not some random Joe Schmo. This is a prosecutor for Cobb County who's coming forward saying, no, I overheard her talking to Terrence Bradley, telling him to shut up, don't say anything. Cállate. Okay, this is what this person is saying that she heard. Okay, let's read more here. Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, is currently battling to stay in her post overseeing the election interference case, which charged Donald Trump and 18 others. She stands accused of carrying a relationship with Wade, who she appointed special prosecutor, but hiding it from the court, presenting a conflict of interest. Willis and Wade have said under oath they were only romantic between 2022 and 2023, long after the case started. At a hearing over whether to disqualify Willis last week, Bradley claimed on the stand that he had no knowledge of when the two prosecutors started dating. But the filing says Yeager would swear under oath that was at odds with what Bradley told Yeager in person, that the romance began in 2019 during Willis's DA campaign. Okay, so apparently Yeager is saying that Bradley also told her in person that the romance began in 2019. Interesting. Seems to me this guy, Terrence Bradley, was telling a whole bunch of people about Nathan Wade and Fani Willis's business. Okay, I mean, it seems to me that he was lying to the court when he suggested that he did not know when a relationship began, or that he, all of a sudden became forgetful. Okay, I mean, it's just pretty fascinating how that works. I think this guy is definitely being threatened. Okay, I think that there's probably some backdoor deal going on here. This guy is clearly and obviously corrupt. And I also think that if he lied about forgetting when a relationship began, or not being able to recall when a relationship began, he should also face jail time, just like Fani Willis. Bradley also texted a lawyer for another Trump co-defendant. The pair were absolutely dating before Willis hired Wade to manage the Trump prosecution in November 2021, and then muttered, "Oh, dang," when confronted with that evidence on the stand. Yeager is willing to testify. Bradley told her Wade, quote, had definitely begun a romantic relationship with Miss Willis during the time that Miss Willis was running for district attorney in 2019 through 2020, Monday filing says. After watching Bradley's testimony, Yeager, quote, became concerned as a result of the fact that what Mr. Bradley testified to on the witness stand was directly contrary to what Mr. Bradley had told Ms. Yeager in person, Monday's filing says. Yeah, so there's a lot of people apparently that watch this hearing that know of Terrence Bradley, or know Mr. Terrence Bradley, or spoke with Mr. Terrence Bradley, or met Mr. Terrence Bradley, that are concerned about how all of a sudden he caught the Joe Biden on the stand. And they're saying, no, this is not right. This guy is clearly and obviously not being truthful. Willis testified that she began dating Wade in 2022 after she hired him. The timeline is important because it can be proven that witness lied on the stand. It would likely result in her being booted from the case, which, I mean, we know that she lied. Okay, she should also be charged with lying on the oath with perjury, and she should face prison time, okay? But Willis's office has argued that Bradley, who testified that his claims about Wade and Willis were speculation, is an unreliable witness who, quote, had every motivation to lie after he'd left Wade's law practice under the suspicion of SA. Judge Scott McAfee has said he hopes to rule on whether Willis can stay on the case in the next 2 weeks. It was not immediately clear Monday whether the court would reopen the hearing to receive additional evidence. Reps for Willis's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. All right, so we really don't know if the court is going to accept this additional evidence, but what we do know is that this evidence, this witness testimony, is contrary to what Mr. Bradley was saying on the stand. I mean, everybody knew just listening to this guy that he was lying, that he is essentially trying to protect Nathan Wade and Fani Willis. But it's really going to come down to the court and what the court wants to do. I guess maybe the judge is going to have a say in whether or not he wants to accept this additional evidence. Right now, what he's currently weighing is whether or not the evidence that we have now meets the burden of proof needed to disqualify Miss Fani Willis, in which he's going to have to decide whether or not the appearance of impropriety is enough to disqualify Fani Willis, or does there have to be an actual conflict, okay? In which, when you talk about an actual conflict, the standard of proof or the burden of proof is much higher, okay? And I'm not necessarily sure if the defense has met that requirement, but there's without a doubt that the defense has definitely met the standard needed for the appearance of impropriety, which could result in disqualification for Miss Fani Willis if the judge decides that that's all we really need, okay? That we don't have to meet that much higher standard for disqualification. We just need to meet the lower standard. She can be pulled off of the case. So we really don't know. The judge said he's going to take 2 weeks to decide, but with this new court filing, we could see evidentiary hearings open back up in which you now have new witnesses take the stand to essentially discredit Mr. Terrence Bradley and his testimony on the stand, and also basically more evidence and proof that, yes, this relationship between Ms. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade began before the RICO case, that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade lied on the oath, in which at that point they should face criminal charges as well too. So we will see, but it's definitely not looking good for Miss Fani Willis. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.